There we go. How does it
Oh
feel?
my gosh. Um, I I felt I was there were moments when I was like out of it because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. Like I felt so understood and so heard, and there was like so much compassion coming through. But at the same time, there were moments where you're like challenging me, and um, it was just brilliant. I just couldn't help myself but to laugh because it was, I don't know, Brian, I don't want to like stroke her ego or anything, but it was just done so natural and um yeah, I'm not gonna say anymore because I don't want to be a simp, but
So
it,
good.
it was just done really well and something that I aspire to. But yeah, it just felt like supernatural and like you really cared about me. Like you were just like in it with me. Like I'm not gonna let you go because I care. That's
Yeah,
what I felt.
100%. 100%. There's different things that made you feel that way, the prospects. Number one is I know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking about, I don't have to think about like the what's the next thing I'm gonna say on the script. Because like I don't have to think about that. Only thing I need to focus on is you, and I can only focus on you. So that's number one. You gotta learn a script back to front, and you can do it today. It really
Mm,
doesn't take that long. Okay, delivering the script, that takes more time. At least
okay.
memorizing the question in the scripts, it doesn't take longer than 3 hours, right? My first ever sales job, I had a 36-page sales script. I memorized it in 3 hours, and I'm not smart. I probably could have done it sooner if I was smart. And how we do that is putting our phone in the other room and not turning on Facebook. Only thing we're looking on is the Google Doc, which is a script,
Mm,
right? So we know every question is all that. So that's step number one. Number two, you got to know exactly what you're trying to get out of it. And number three, you got to deliver it the right
mm,
way, right? And you got to know different ways of asking the same question in different ways and
okay.
probe at the right time. So there's different levels to this.
Yeah.
But you're given different, like, I guess, pre-objections, if you want to call it that. You're like, yeah, like I tried. That question is very important, by the way. I was make sure to ask that, especially in fitness. The question when I said, so before we started talking, besides X that you told me, besides the whatever you said, like, what have you actually tried, right? If anything. That question is very important because if you don't do that after the pitch, you may get objections like, yeah, I've tried different things before, but I just got burned or it didn't work out. So let me just think about it. So that question is almost like, the Avengers movie where Doctor Strange meditates and he sees like the 14 million different possibilities. It's kind of like that. You're going to the future. You're giving me what objection you're going to give me at the end right now, which is
Mm,
easier to handle. So you
mm-hmm.
said, yeah, I don't know. I tried different things. And the first time I asked you, hey, were there other people getting results? And if so, or you answered, and I'm like, okay, so how come you didn't get results? Right? Like, what do you feel held you back from getting results? Right? I asked that way. And you're like, well, I'm not sure. So I said, if you really thought about it. So I'm not taking your like surface of your answers for face value. You did it
Yeah.
multiple times. But I always like, okay, no, we're gonna see what happened because it's important for you. So
Mhm.
you said, I don't know. I think I tried. Okay, so did you actually do all the things they told you to do in a given amount of time? They're like, I mean, I think I tried. Okay, but actually, did you try with a given amount of time? So I like double asked it, double confirmed. You're like, yeah, I guess I didn't. And I was like, why not? And then whatever thing you said, I was like, we did a reframe right there, right? So you could have the best, method to losing weight, the nutrition, but if you're not the one staying consistent with it, how's anything going to change? You're not going to get a six pack overnight or after a week.
Mhm.
So you're like, da da da, right? And then you're like, yeah, but like da da da. And then whatever the thing is, so you can go back to the recording, I'll upload it. But whatever
Okay.
thing you said, like I asked it in a question form, and especially the way I said it is very important, right? So I wasn't being like a complete dick, and also I wasn't being like too much of a nice guy run me over either,
Mhm.
right? So I was like,
Absolutely.
so what actually happened? Because if you don't do anything, how's anything? We're having a real conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like we're sitting down. It's like let's have a real chat. Like what's going on? If you don't do anything, nothing's gonna change. Just like talking to a friend that you really care about.
Mhm.
Like let's say they're doing like drugs or whatever, something crazy. They're like, hey, listen, like it's if you don't stop doing this, like you're gonna see serious trouble. But you're asking in a question format.
Mhm.
And I used to have a red line at consequence. right? So what's going on, MJ? You just have a red line right there where if the prospect didn't give an actual consequence, he did not move on. I had a red line there and I had a red line over here. I had two red lines in the script. This part I call it the commitment bridge. I literally named the commitment bridge on the in the thing because and then I asked you if you remember. I was like, because before we go any further, like, are you actually willing to get outside of your comfort zone? Actually try this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you gave me a wishy-washy answer. I was like, well, listen, if nothing's gonna change, and then I did a reframe again, asked you again, right? And you're like, yeah, you're right. And then I said, no, I didn't ask you if I'm right or wrong. I asked you, are you actually willing to get outside of your comfort zone? Very, very important.
Yeah.
Like you're having a firm, that's what elevates like your status or your authority and like prospects following your lead. If you don't do that, by the end of the call, it's kind of like there's a kitten and the kitten doesn't have any owner, so they're gonna anywhere, right? But if they have an owner, they're gonna follow the owner, right? So if I want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So and then what's gonna happen is like now you follow my lead, right? So, okay, cool. So what about this? What about that? Makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, when it comes to memorizing your script, do you go from A to Z, like from beginning to end, or do you go like, oh, this is the problem section. I'm gonna just like do this and get this down, and then solution section, okay, and then desired outcome. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah. Did you have a previous script you were using before and you have that memorized, or where you at?
Yeah, I mean, I had my Cole Gordon script memorized, and then I did
Yeah.
NVQ, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm all over the place. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There's too many scripts.
Yeah, I get it. No, because that was the first script I was using. Well, one of the first scripts, Cole Gordon script as well.
Yeah,
That's not really a script. It's more like a syntax, as they call it. You kind of go like everywhere, which
yeah.
for me, it gave me something, but I was like, I think it's just better to just go, like go into it. But to memorize a new script, how I did it is I memorized the first line. Hey, so can you see me? Okay, I memorized that. Okay, cool. And then you stack that in the next question. Hey, so can you see me? Okay, all right, cool. So it looks like you booked in a call for this. Is that right? And then you memorize the third question, and then you go first question, second question, third question. And I would stack it all the way to the end. That's how I was doing it. Is it the most best way to do it? I don't know, but that's how I did it.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Any questions?
No, I so appreciate you, Brian. Like, you're amazing, and